Greetings duelists and welcome to another video. So today we're going to be talking about Fairy Tail. It's been a while since we've talked about these monsters. I don't think I even covered these monsters on my channel yet. So to give a little brief introduction, in 2016, I think it was in the Dark Illusions, we got introduced this archetype, or you can call it a sub-archetype. Basically, the fairy tale theme are like these level 4 light spellcaster monsters, and they're all based on like princess from princess or like fairy tale themed like mentioned maidens. Fairy Tale Luna represents the Princess Kaguya from the Tale of the Bamboo Cutter. Rella represents Cinderella. Sleeper is the Sleeping Beauty. Roshaka, I hope I didn't butcher that name, is the Snow White Princess Prakornoshka, I think it's called. It is an old Russian fairy tale. I had to look that one up. And then you have Fairy Tale Snow, which is Snow White. Outside of these 5 monsters, the older fairy tale card that we had to the theme is Fairy Tale Tales. Before this video, or prior to this recording, this archetype was not fully fleshed out. This was just a small niche sub-archetype that just had a little bit of synergy with a few monsters that have the 1850 stat line. We'll talk about those in a moment later on. But today we got revealed a bunch of cards that really help out the theme, and after this support, I can safely say this is now an actual archetype with some really cool gimmicks. Let's start with the first card. This is Fairy Tale Matchlily. This is the story from the Little Match Girl. What a fitting card or fitting story to be revealed a card for, because that is a Christmas story for those who are unfamiliar. So same stat line as all the other fairy tale monsters. This one reads, if a spellcaster monster with 1850 is on the field, you can special summon this card from your hand or graveyard. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except spellcasters. If this card is normal or special summoned, you can add 1 fairy tale spell trap from your deck to your hand. You can pay 500 life points. The name of one effect monster your opponent controls becomes Fairy Prince. You can only use each effect of Fairy Tale Matchlily once per turn. So essentially what Matchlily is supposed to be is an extender to the theme. Kaguya already adds an 1850 from your deck to your hand. She is 1850. She has 1850. So this already makes Matchlily like a potential XYZ material, or Link material, or Synchro material, or like future material. You get the point. Basically, Matchlily is supposed to just extend further with your other cards. Take note, this does add a Fairy Tale spell trap, and prior to this theme, the only Fairy Tale spell that we have in the deck, it is Fairy Tale Tales, which is just another normal summon extender. Let's look into other cards. So we got a fusion monster. This fusion monster is called Weaver of Fairy Tale Tales. The materials are 1 Fairy Tale monster and 1 Spellcaster monster. All the Fairy Tales are spellcasters, so this shouldn't be a hard thing to do. You can special summon 1 Fairy Tale monster from your deck or banishment. You can only use this effect of Weaver of the Fairy Tales once per turn. If you normal or special summon a non-Earth Fairy Tale monster while this monster is on the field, you can target 1 effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effect. Also, its name becomes Fairy Prince. Any Fairy Prince monster on the field becomes a spellcaster monster. So, this is a very strange one. This is another extender. This can't just summon another Fairy Tale from your deck. I just noticed that this is an Earth attribute Fairy Tale monster. That being said, this can special summon itself. It doesn't say except Weaver of the Fairy Tale Tales. Although it is a hard once per turn, so take that in mind. Special summoning a non-Earth Fairy Tale monster basically means that you have to like summon other extenders. At the moment, prior to this recording, and with the other cards unknown, the ones that facilitate this are Matchlily and Snow. Flipper can also do it, but it is a flip effect, so take that into consideration. So yeah, this essentially can become a slow interruption. And at the moment, we've got 2 cards already that mention, or this is the first card rather, I think, that mentions the Fairy Prince. I guess we'll talk about this a little bit later. It also important, this detail right here. On to the next card. So this is Chronicler of the Fairy Tale Tales, another fusion monster. Its materials are 1 light Fairy Tale monster and 1 spellcaster monster, as opposed to Weaver that can use any Fairy Tale monster. All the main deck ones are light attribute, so this shouldn't be harder to summon than the other one. Your Fairy Tale monsters cannot be destroyed by battle. You can only use each of the following effects once per turn. If this card is fusion summoned using Fairy Prince as a material, you can destroy as many cards your opponent controls as possible, and if you do, inflict 500 to each for each of them. When your opponent activates a card or effect, quick effect, you can banish 1 Fairy Tale card from your hand or graveyard, negate the activation, and if you do, destroy that card. So this is a really strong one. This can protect itself by battle as well, not just your other Fairy Tale monsters. But more importantly, this card is just an Omni Negate for your opponent's card by banishing a Fairy Tale. And the materials for this are not really that hard at all. Take note, if you do summon Matchlily, you are locked into spellcasters. So outside of this, I don't see a really harsh lock that can make this monster. Also, this monster does not say it can only be fusion summoned. So instant fusion can make this card. That also comes true for Fairy Tale Tales. So there is a world where you play instant fusion in this deck, and by instant fusion fusing into this can make this. Well, it can make this, but you have to be worried that your other fairy tale has to be the light attribute monster, because this is a spellcaster. And you essentially just have like an Omni-Negate for free, with the added benefits of like whatever you do with the theme. But again, this is without the context of all the other cards. This is already really strong. And now we're actually looking at this archetype actually doing something. That being said, let's talk about the next card. This is Tail Gala. So this is a field spell, and this card reads, when this card is activated, you can add one fairy tale monster or fairy tale tales, which is this card, from your deck or banishment to your hand. Fairy tale monsters you control can attack directly. Once per turn, if your opponent special summons a monsters and you control a fairy tale monster, you can target one effect monster your opponent controls, negate its effects. Also, its name becomes Fairy Prince. This is the second card that we look at that follows the Fairy Prince gimmick. This one kind of capitalizes on them, but as of right now, this and this can make monsters your opponent controls Fairy Prince. Take note, it only is your opponent's monsters. And if I'm not mistaken, yep, both these cards negate whatever you target to become Fairy Prince. So, really good card. It is a searcher for the theme. So now we have more and more consistency cards for the archetype. Like Luna, Gala, and Matchlily are technically all starters. More so these two cards than Matchlily. But yeah. Really good card. Now we talk about the other two spells. Let's go with Fairy Tale Long Ago. This special summons a light fairy tale monster with different names from your hand, graveyard, and or banishment. Also, you cannot special summon for the rest of this turn except spellcaster monsters. If this card is sent to the graveyard except from the field or banished, you can set it, but it cannot be activated unless you control a fairy tale monster. If I'm not mistaken, since this is a quick play spell, you still have to follow the quick spell mechanic, so you cannot flip it on the turn that is set. That being said, you cannot flip this card at all if you don't control a fairy tale. You'll see how we can easily tutor this card with the fairy tale theme like very soon. But as a consensus, I have to say this is a really strong card as well. Like, if you open this alongside any other fairy tale, like you can, this essentially just becomes like a double extender. Like, if there's a way that you can just like get a fairy tale in graveyard as well as a fairy tale to hand, this can just summon from both sides. If you banish like any of them, I'm looking at this card. We'll talk about this later. This basically can essentially summon up to 3 monsters. And the spellcaster lock really doesn't matter. Like, they're all spellcasters. and you'll see very soon that this can also combo into with other spellcasters. The last card we're gonna talk about is called Tales of Fairy Tale. So this is an equip spell, and this card reads: the equipped monster gains 1000 attack. Once per turn, you can fusion summon one spellcaster fusion monster from your extra deck using monsters from your hand or field. You can also use any fairy prince your opponent controls. If this card is in your graveyard, you can equip it to a fairy tale monster on the field. Then immediately after this effect resolves, you can normal summon one spellcaster monster with 1800 attack. So this is a really, really good equip spell. And this is an equip spell that would have been good, like, in any archetype that its effect would have seen fit. Like, it gives a monster extra attack. It has another added utility. Whatever you fusion summon doesn't have to be the equipped monster. You can use other monsters that are not equipped for a fusion summon. And it doesn't have to fuse for a fairy tale. It can be fused for any spellcaster, which is also really big. If this card is in the graveyard, essentially this can just become an extra extender. Like, it's very obvious that this card was made for the fairy tale theme, and it is kind of fitting how this card works. If you're wondering can we easily get to this card, Fairy Tale Rella has the effect to equip one equip spell from your hand, deck, or graveyard. So this can just tutor out Tales of the Fairy Tale if need be. Gala can also, Gala can search the Lil, and Lil can search their Tales of Fairy Tale as well. Or you can just go Gala into Luna, Luna into Matchlily, Matchlily into Tales of the Fairy Tale, and then you can just essentially just kickstart into your other fairy tales. We're missing one more other card, and this is the last one. This is Fairy Tale Wickat, which correct me in the comment section if you're watching this video. I think this represents the Wicked Witch from the Wizard of Oz. Feel free to correct me on that. So this is kind of generic. Well, it's generic for spellcasters. We'll talk about other spellcasters that you can use in this archetype later on. Fairy tale monsters you control whose original attribute is light are unaffected by your opponent's activated effects. You can only use each of the following effects of Wickat once per turn. You can detach up to 2 materials from this card. Send that many fairy tale cards from your deck to the graveyard, except fairy tale tales. If this card's in your graveyard, quick effect, you can target one fairy tale monster you control whose original attribute is light. Special summon this card, and if you do, send that monster to the graveyard. So essentially this is another starter. If you're wondering what are you going to use with this card's effect, this can send fairy tale cards, not just monsters. So ideally you will want to send those with graveyard effects. Long ago can set itself if it's sent from the deck to the graveyard. Fairy Tale Tales of Fairy Tale already has the graveyard effect that we talked prior to this XYZ monster. Matchlily can special summon itself from graveyard if you control an 1850, which Wickat certainly is. So this pretty much just goes full circle. You can, like, this essentially what this means is that level 4 spellcasters that are not fairy tale monsters can also bridge you into your fairy tale cards, which is really cool if you think about it. If you need examples of monsters that fit this criteria, let's talk before we show the first example. Let's talk about the fact that this, and this all revolve around the 1850 stat line. Do you know what else has 1850? You guessed it, the familiar possessed. Also, I forgot their name, the channelers. They also count for this. The channelers are charmer monsters, which will be extra relevant because of the next card. Well, next few cards. Awakening of the Possessed is a card that also works with 1850. So this just draws you a card if an 1850 is normal or special summoned, which is really cool because it means that you can chain block your Luna and you can chain block your Matchlily. They essentially become like bigger like extenders slash starters. But more importantly, let's talk about this card. So we haven't talked about this card yet. I was kind of waiting for more reveals, but I think this is a really good time to mention this card. So Spellbook of the Grand Circle essentially is a card that adds charmers from your deck. It can add 4 specifically. It can grab also from graveyard or banished, and then shuffle 2 cards. You can also banish this card from your graveyard and fusion summon 1 fusion monster using Charmer and or Familiar Possessed. So all the Familiar Possessed have the 1850 stat line, which means they all work with the fairy tale theme. You can even add them with Luna. Also, one thing important to mention, your opponent cannot activate cards or effects when a monster is fusion summoned this way. So that's only if you specifically use like these as materials. And take note, all of these Charmer and Familiar Possessed can be used to make these. Sadly, Fairy Prince monsters are only your opponent monsters at the moment. Imagine if you resolve a Grand Circle to fuse into Chronicler, and your opponent cannot respond to it. That would have been really crazy. But fret not, because we can make Charmers of the Grand Circle with them. Yeah, I don't see the Charmers not being a part of this archetype. I think the fact that they all share the 1850 stat line is something that it was made on purpose. This is kind of these two archetypes are probably gonna go hand in hand, very similar to how Branded fits Draco Tail. We'll talk about Draco Tail in a moment. So one other engine that you can play in this deck, and if you haven't figured it out by now, is Magistus. This does require spellcaster monsters, and the majority of like Magistus monsters are spellcasters as well. So you can use Reliona to special summon Zorora. Zorora can equip Artemis. Zorora can bring back whatever materials you used for Reliona, and so on and so forth. This is just me showcasing you the possibilities. Take note, we are getting Spenta in Burst Protocol. This is just another level 4 spellcaster extender that you can play in the theme. So, like your Magistus cards, like just this Spenta alone can make the entire Fairy Tale rotation happen. But yeah, that's one example. You can make Chorozo by contact fusing with the monsters. And Chorozo is a tuner, which is very, very relevant because it means that you can make the Conflagrant. I don't like the fact that Conflagrant only equips from your extra deck. I would have liked it if they equip also from graveyard or hand or banishment rather. Very similar to how Rella did. But yeah, really cool offensive monster. There's also the fusion version. This shouldn't be hard to make either. And these are all spellcasters, so take that in mind. You have to like build your deck with the Matchlily lock. So other examples, the 3 Brave Sword Souls. This is a level 8 synchro spellcaster monster. So again, this just naturally fits. Same thing with Ecclesia of the Black Dragon. This is Ecclesia on a Black Dragon. So all the Ecclesia monsters are spellcasters. And one of them is a tuner. So yeah. The Dogmatica monsters can also be played like alongside all these other engines. Again, the spellcaster lock does not matter to them. They're all spellcasters already. Blazing Cartesia is another one. Fall on the White just tutors out an Ecclesia monster. So outside of that, like, we're probably not gonna hear about Albaz like supporting this team. Yeah, I think that's it for now. Trying to see what other archetypes we can fit in here, or other sub-archetypes rather. Gragwing Null is something you can make with Blazing Cartesia. All the Fairy Tail main deck monsters are light attribute, so this shouldn't be hard to make. Let's talk about Dark Magician of Destruction. So essentially what this card is another form of Dark Magician, which also comes with this really cool card, the Gaze of Timaeus. This card essentially just turns this card into another fusion monster that requires Dark Magician. Then one that comes to mind the most is Red Eyes Dark Dragoon. So yes, you can play Dragoon in this deck. Just be wary if you are summoning the Magician of Destruction. You can use a level 6 or higher Dark Spellcaster specifically. The turn a spell card or effect was activated. The Fairy Tail monsters are light, they're not dark, so this is just another mention that I felt was worth considering. Oh, so yeah, Draco Tales. Now, 5 mana fuses for spellcasters during either player's turn. So if you open like your Fairy Tales alongside your Draco Tail spellcasters, just what is stopping you from just using 5 mana to turn like another one of your Draco Tails into Chronicler? Just set up with Chronicler and you're already set up for your Draco Tail plays like in the next turn. Just be wary about the spellcaster lock. I don't know how long that lasts. I'm pretty sure it's during the turn. So yeah, those are pretty much all the examples that I have in mind. Before we end, we might as well show you a 1-card combo. You can start with Luna. Another option is Matchlily. Another option is the field spell. So any of them does this combo. I'm going to fast forward it a little bit because some of this will be very, very obvious. Like Luna adds Matchlily, Matchlily special summons. Matchlily will add you Gala. We're going to activate the Gala, Gala for Snow. We're going to overlay into Wickat. We're going to dump. We're going to set, activate. We're going to fuse. We're going to make the Fairy Tale Tales, Rella, and then those will kickstart into the Magistus engine. And you can banish all this for Fairy Tale Snow, use this to bring back, and by the time I was recording this combo, I completely forgot that Matchlily has the graveyard effect to special summon itself. So you had even more plays besides the plays that I already showed. Like not flipping long ago was not even that necessary. Is Magistus the way to go with this deck? I'm not sure. Like there are a few other options besides like Magistus. Now let's address the elephant in the room. Let's talk about Fairy Tale Snow. So by the time of this recording, this card is still in the Forbidden Limited list in the TCG. And it's not like this card was not meant to come back. Like they brought back this card, I think it was in 2021. If I'm not mistaken. It was either 2021 or 2022. I think it was 2021, and I think it got back in the Forbidden list back in 2022 as a culprit of the Tearlament strategy, as well as the based deck pile strategy that was being played before Tearlaments. Can this card come back? Well, this card is legal in Master Duel and in the OCG. And as of this moment, this card hasn't done a lot. It is being played in a particular variant of Malice. But I think if you actually address Malice like enough, like this card shouldn't be an issue. Especially if you just bring it back to limited status. I am going to say it would be a really big shame if this card does not return when this archetype gets printed in the TCG. So I think it's just a matter of time. I think this card will come back. Will it do a lot in the metagame? We're just gonna have to wait and see. But until then, I hope you found this informative to your liking and understanding. It is quite a lengthy video, but I kind of wanted to cover everything that involved the theme. Yeah, I think fairy tales are really cool. It's really cool that this deck has an identity. I don't think this is a tier 1 strategy. However, this can be played with Charmers. And the Charmer support, we've only had 2 cards revealed, and it's really crazy. Like, also, Magistus works really well with the theme, and we are getting the Magistus cards. So, who knows? Maybe somebody will make a pile deck that just works with everything. And yeah, not much else to add. Keep practicing and keep dueling.